Hello. Do you like my new backdrop? Because I do. I'm obsessed. Thank you. Shout out to my brother who made it for me and my dad who made this little girl. Well, not little. Little is in size. She's very strong, obviously. She's holding the weight of the world. She's just a good reminder that to always stay strong and you can literally do anything. And then obviously my brother made me this backdrop with all the honeycomb shelving. I vamped it up with the plants. I'm just feeling in my element. I'm super happy. Okay, but let's jump into this podcast. Hello. My name is Alicia Hamill, and I am here to save the world. Well, okay, not seriously, but kind of seriously, but we'll get into that later. First of all, my journey starts off like so many others, dieting super young, binge drinking in college, disordered eating, and desperately trying to change my life. On a very long and lonely, messy journey, I can finally say that I see the light at the end of the tunnel. But honestly, I wish somebody would have told me what I know now, way back then, to save me years of mental and physical pain. So why did I get so lucky? What made me stop and think the way that I do? And how do I help others do the same? So they can stop themselves from being scooped up into the sea of disease and depression that is taking over our society. Introducing Wellth Body Radio, a podcast with insightful and thought-provoking conversations about nutrition, exercise, self-responsibility, product integrity, and so much more. I want these chats to leave you with a greater sense of confidence in how you choose to live your life. Because health is wealth, and your life, your little piece of this world, should feel rich, which is why I'm here, and I'm grateful you're here too. So the last time we talked about the power of journaling. And if you haven't gone and listened to that last podcast episode, please do so because the skills of it are really going to help with today in just being able to apply how you're feeling, what's true, what's not, how you feel after food, before food, all that. Journaling is a very active form. It's like working out. You have to do the squats in order to get stronger. I really feel like journaling can be an aid. So when you do squats, sometimes you can wear a belt and then that helps you get stronger quicker. That's journaling. So you can do this whole process without journaling, but it's just a nice little add-on to help. Okay. All right. But this episode, we're going to talk about intuitive eating. And intuitive eating, the idea of it is very simple. It is that you make peace with all types of food, and then you honor what your body is craving, what you're wanting. You're really listening to your body vibes. It's very holistic. So unlike traditional diets that are restrictive or on certain foods, let's say a keto diet or paleo diet, those all in some sense can be healthy, but they are restricted. They do require you to cut out certain things. And then a lot of diets will require you to label things as good and bad. But with intuitive eating, you just even if it's a bad food, but you're craving it or your body wants it, you have it. So intuitive eating is very similar to eating everything in moderation kind of vibes. And I think a lot of people use the two interchangeably. So they're both a go with the flow mentality, but it very easily can be skewed and turn into more of a YOLO lifestyle. And that can include Big Macs. It can include drinking 1 to 2 times, even just a month or a week if you're really out there. It can be smoking, but I only smoke when I drink because that's when I intuitively feel it, or everything in moderation, right? I only eat Doritos, pizza, and Diet Pepsi at 3 a.m. because my body's craving it. Moderation. You know what I mean? So it can very easily just go over there on that side of the spectrum. But I will say, it kind of works. There is a time and a place for this ideology, and I'm going to explain why. So everything in moderation is essentially what pulled me out of my eating disorder. a time where I was heavily dieting and restricting. I was having these awful out of control binges. It was a cycle that was probably prevalent in my life for probably like 8 years, maybe more. Yeah, somewhere around there. And part of the disordered eating is seeing food as good or bad, which right now, at this time in my life, I believe that's true. I do believe there is good food and I do believe there is bad food. But at that time, my mentality was different. As whereas like the good and the bad label of food became my identity when I ate that food. So if I ate a salad, I was good. If I ate popcorn, I was bad. If I ate chicken, I was good. If I ate a poutine, I was bad. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because as soon as I labeled myself bad, there was a lot of shame that started to collect. And when you collect that shame and that label of being bad people don't deserve good things. And therefore, it gave myself permission to treat myself badly. And then it was, if you can treat yourself badly, then you should punish yourself, because obviously bad people also get punished. So punishing myself was eating a whole entire pack of Oreos in one sitting. That makes sense. Bad people do get punished. So like, I see where I was going, but not totally okay. And then when my therapist, Beth, at the time, told me that there is no such thing as good or bad foods, there's just foods. She is one of the smartest people I know. And in that moment, I thought she was super dumb. But yeah, in my head, when she said that, I put up this brick wall and there was no taking in any words that she was saying after that statement, because she was clearly wrong. Present day me believes that she was right and wrong. I think things are a lot more gray than they are black and white. Food is neutral, as she said. That part I do believe. Until we engage with it. So soon as we engage with food, I wish I had food right. I could just show you on the video. But anyway, pretend my hand is full of food. So once we engage with the food, we now have a relationship with it. There is some kind of intention behind it. And it can be either a form of self-love or self-sabotage, right? It can either be a good intention or a bad intention. So there is that relationship. So food is no longer neutral. There is a motive behind it. I think life is like an onion. There's layers. Okay, so going from restrictive binge eating disorder to healthy eating was too big of a jump for me. I needed to be met in the middle. And that's where everything in moderation comes in. Introducing this concept into my life made any choice I wanted to make a possibility. It opened up the conversation that I was more in control than I gave myself credit for, and that the food itself wasn't taking over. It wasn't in control. That I got to choose the motive behind the relationship that the food and I was having. Okay, does that make sense? So if I wanted to have a chicken salad, good, followed up by a cookie dough, bad, that went away. I was no longer a failure. I was instead just choosing moderation, the good with the bad. That's called balance. Intuitively listening to my desires and not shaming myself for them. So like I said, the shame really made it so that I gave myself permission to continue eating in a piss poor manner, essentially. It gave myself permission to punish myself by eating more food because that's what I, quote unquote, deserved. So taking the aspect of failure away, the aspect of food has the control, I'm in control. My choices are whatever I want to make. That was the key. That was the secret sauce. It allowed me to, again, remove that shame that used to spiral me out of control into an anxious, depressive state where I then used food to cope, and then triggered the vicious cycle. As I became a more experienced eater, listening to my cravings, listening to my body, making choices while actively combating away the shame and the insecurities, I developed more trust and more confidence within myself. It's not that that sounds really easy. It wasn't. It was, like I said, I had to like actively combat. Like I'm at war with myself. And that might be how you're feeling too. It's just like you try to make a good choice, but then there's like these two voices in your head, like this Jekyll and Hyde, where it's like, why are you trying to be healthy? You're not a healthy person. You don't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to kind of like fight it and repeatedly go like, no, that is not truth. That is not the fact. And it sounds ridiculous, but over time, you beat yourself into this kind of mentality and you have to like beat it away essentially. And it does take time. But this is where the onion must be peeled back. Once you really get to a place where you feel confident in the choices you're starting to make, you're not shaming yourself for them, you're no longer binging, you can choose a salad, you can choose the cookie dough, like you're very in a good ebb and flow within that balance. Like I said, the next layer has to be unpeeled because I think a lot of people just stay there and they think that that's enough. And as humans, we really do need to keep pushing ourselves to develop further. The next layer for me was understanding that even though I felt I had a sense of control over my moderate choices, I knew from past experiences that those foods of that quote moderation had done me harm. Like, yes, now I can choose to eat cookie dough after I have a chicken salad, but in the past, that cookie dough would have spiraled me. It caused me anxiety. It caused my acne to flare up, which then caused me to have insecurities and wear more makeup and then feel gross about myself and then eat more cookie dough to feel better about myself, which then made my acne worse, which then made my love handles worse, but then made the inflammation in my face worse. And it was just like all these things. So I knew that yes, while I felt better about choosing these foods and I wasn't spiraling into a binge episode, these foods still weren't good for me. They still didn't have a good relationship with them. They weren't making me go out for a run and make my teeth whiter and way more happy on the inside and outside. That was not happening. They're still not good foods. They're junk, right? Right. So these foods, like I said, had taken over parts of my brain. They had rewired me into a shell of myself, creating feelings of worthlessness, apathy, despair. And I knew that I was better than these foods. I knew that I wanted to be better than these foods. So I was going to do something about it. So this is where I gave myself permission to start restricting foods of moderation. See how we're coming full circle here? You see this? Like a circle. Life is like a circle. I know that movie, Chuck and Larry. Anybody get that reference? Oh, I love that movie so much. Anyway, digress. My sense of control here, like I said, coming full circle, I began to moderate my cravings, the intuition that I had kind of built up, the trust that I had built up. So I got to a point where I could say no to poutine, no to fries and gravy, not because I didn't think that I deserved the fries, because I thought I was fat enough already, but because I knew fries made me feel gross. I knew they weren't a healthy choice for my body, and ultimately I wanted to be healthy. I was giving myself permission to make a choice out of self-love versus self-hate. And that is the key. Okay, I know I said the secret sauce earlier, but maybe this is the real secret sauce. Maybe the secret sauce to the secret sauce is this secret sauce. Okay, making choices out of self-love, not self-hate. Both choices are the same, but just they come from different places. The motive, again, back to the motive. Everything does come full circle. Amazing. So cultivating more self-love meant choosing things that harmed my body less and less and less. So yes, I was allowed to have Oreos, but instead of having 4, I chose to have 2 because that harmed me less. And I was building up that muscle of choice and breaking the habits that I had put into place that I was trying to, again, rewire. So, okay, this is what I wrote here. I went off on a tangent there, but this is what I should have said instead. I should have followed the script. This is why you follow scripts, people. Anyway, the onion literally went like this. Okay, that's part of my script. Okay, ready? Ready for this? Okay. I actually did this. I did have cupcakes for breakfast. I used to be a baker at my mom's restaurant. And I would have probably half a dozen some days of cupcakes for breakfast. Just because you're baking at 8 a.m., you're trying things, you're hungry, so then you have a cupcake. And then there's ones that you can't do anything with. They're we call them dead cupcakes. They come back to us. I got to make sure that they were good. So have a few cupcakes for breakfast. And then it went to, okay, that's obviously not a healthy choice for me. I no longer want to resonate with that habit. So let's have one cupcake after breakfast. And then it went down to one cupcake after breakfast and lunch. And then it went down to, okay, I'm just going to do a taste test of this cupcake. So 1 or 2 bites. And then it went down to, okay, cupcakes only at special occasions. Down to maybe at special occasions or maybe not. Or maybe I'm just going to bring my own special treat that is in line with my own health and my own journey and my what I want to consume. Not just because it's one time. No, maybe it's one time too many for me. So that's kind of been the progression of my onion, if you will. So while I do believe everything in moderation can be useful, I also think it's a cop-out for continuing to do the hard work that cultivating awareness and discipline requires. As humans, we have to keep pushing our boundaries. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. I'm going to try to say it good. I got scared there for a second. Socrates? It's spelled so great, but Socrates wisely once stated, everything in moderation, including moderation. Put that on a t-shirt. Ain't that good? Mm-hmm. Therefore, we must continue to moderate our moderation. My onion story, like we just talked about, went from an 20-80 down to a 50-50, up to a 80-20, and now I would say I'm at a 90% healthy food, whole food diet, and maybe 10%, if that, of naughty foods. And I'm really, really, really proud of myself. Because I never ever thought that going from somebody that would I used to buy Oreos, all the limited edition flavors. I loved them so much. And hide them in the basement, in a closet, underneath all the clothes, all my crafting stuff to make sure I couldn't get to them as easily, that they weren't visible. But then I'd be I can just have one. And I'd go downstairs and have one. And then I'd go downstairs and have another. And then another. And then another. And soon enough, I've literally, when I say I've eaten a whole pack of Oreos in one sitting, and then been sad I'd done that. So then I made cookie dough to offset that. But then I was I better have balance. And then had a chicken salad. And then after that chicken salad, I was I better have dessert. And then had a popsicle or something that I found in the freezer. I've done it all. I've done it. So the fact that I'm at the point where it's I can have breakfast and not want dessert, where I can have dinner and maybe have 2 or 3 pieces of chocolate, dark chocolate afterwards, and that's enough for me, is light years. It took me a really long time to get here, a lot of awareness, a lot of pushing the boundaries, a lot of testing the waters, but it is possible. But I never limited myself as everything in moderation, balance, everything has to be balanced. No, you don't have to. If that balance sets you off into a binge or keeps you unhealthy, why the F would you want that? I don't want balance that kind of maybe I will or maybe I won't get Alzheimer's. Fuck no. I want to know that I did everything in my power to pull myself out of being out of control when there's certain foods around, and that I'm setting myself up for long-term health. That's really important to me. So I don't feel restricted when I turn down food that people are oh, you better try it. No, it doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with my health. So, and before, that would have been really restrictive to say no to something, because I didn't feel I was in control of that choice to say no. I thought the only reason I would say no is because I'm fat, and the only reason I'm fat is because I'm not worthy. So yes, I actually will take that cookie you're offering me because I'm a bad person and I deserve to be punished. I don't feel that way anymore. So I actually feel quite the opposite. I actually feel quite liberated saying no to unhealthy foods. I am now restricting myself from unwanted diseases, unwanted like body image, like all these things that like are consequences of choosing poor quality foods. I'm restricting myself from those things. And that's how I flipped this on its head. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud. If you didn't get that already, so proud. I fully enjoy eating healthy. But in order to get me here, like I said, I had to meet myself halfway. And everything in moderation tactic was useful. So as much as I want to kibosh it, you can't, because it's useful for some people. It's useful for me. And it helped me build up my intuitive muscles. So intuitive eating, because like in the beginning we said, at the core, you listen to your body and eating what feels right for you. I could not do intuitive eating coming out of the depths of my eating disorder. Because when I was hopped up on cupcakes and pancakes, no, there was a large part of my cravings that were coming from sugar addictions, coping mechanisms, from the chemicals that were just keeping me addicted from these processed foods. Like, there was no way I was going to be able to listen to my body to be like, you're craving an avocado for its healthy fats and omega-3s. Or like, oh, you're craving asparagus because you need the prebiotic fiber that's in it. That was never going to happen. My intuitive muscles were so skewed that I needed to just eat in moderation, practice, and then jump into intuitive eating. I think people think that they can, and some people can't. I shouldn't say that not everybody can. Some people can go cold turkey. Most people can't though. From what I can see, they can't. So I had to work on building my body's signals up. And so now when I'm either craving, like, say like I had a dinner and I'm craving potatoes or chocolate after I've just eaten, I can sit there and go, am I bored? Am I stressed? Did I have a really big workout today that I didn't fuel for? Is my body's craving more recovery? Is my menstrual cycle approaching? Okay. XYZ might be happening. How do I need to act on it? How do I act on it? And my friend, that right there is healthy, intuitive eating. Healthy eating is a really great thing. Don't ever let anybody shame you into eating poor quality food because you want to become a better, healthier version of yourself. The only reason people want you to eat like they do, because your changing of habits, your healthy eating shines a light on how much their diet sucks and how much they're unhappy with their lives, the way they look. So, if you need to utilize everything in moderation in order to dig yourself out of the trenches, that's totally fine. But please make me a pinky promise, okay, done, to not stop there. You have to keep pushing yourself. You have to pull back those onion layers, okay? You have to keep getting closer to the core of optimal health. There is absolutely no shame in wanting to be healthy. And there is no shame in explaining to somebody, yes, I used to eat a cupcake after I had breakfast. Please don't offer me that anymore because I'm trying to change my habits. And if they don't respect that, they need to get out of your life immediately. Life is too short to entertain people that genuinely don't want the best for you. And this is why I've made this podcast, to spread the honest truth that encourages you to embrace your own self-responsibility, the power you have right now to transform your life to the richest experience that you can have. Ultimately, making the world a better place starts with yourself. Bettering yourself, your little piece of the world. And then taking that knowledge and helping others make their little piece of the world a better place as well. So with that, I ask that if this podcast provided any value to you, please share it. And together we can make the world a better place. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Don't hesitate to reach out over social media to let me know if this conversation made you feel a certain way. And lastly, don't forget to show up in the world a little bit more curious, a little bit more intentional, and a lot more loving. Bye. What is up with all that? I hate that. Oh, we like a real podcaster. We got ourselves a light. Oh, even better. Love it. And shout out to my dad that maybe this little girl, like not little girl, it's a little as in size. This little, I said it again, wow. No, that's wrong. Did I say that already? Let's do this again. Because I hate this.